Tyler, man, good to see you. It's been a week. It's been a week off. I missed you, man. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you back too. I think everyone that is watching the YouTube page on a regular basis, first of all, thank you. Hit like, subscribe, bell notification, all that stuff. Get that out of the way early. But probably tired of seeing my face, Seth Rollins' face, and The Rock's face, and Macho Man, and then Elizabeth. I need another cast member. So I'm glad you're here.
I'm here. It's good to be back. I was in Florida with family, like a 2-year in the making family vacation. So it was good to, get into some warm weather, but it's good to be back too here on the old fireside on the PWTorch YouTube channel. Tyler, I got it before we get started here. We got some fun topics, but I hosted the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show last night after Dynamite, and a topic that came up was the fact that your hair is rivaling that of Hook. And I maintain that is a compliment that our listeners are noticing. And, we're going to have to come up with a nickname for you, man.
I'll have to. There was when we first started doing this, my wife is a tertiary watcher of wrestling product, obviously, because just like most of probably wrestling fans' wives out there.
Fair, yeah.
But there's a photo that was on my Instagram where she did my hair Hook style. I was actually in front of the Macho Man picture here, so I'll pull that up. We'll post it. But yes, I appreciate whoever. I've not listened yet, but I appreciate whoever said that. And
shame on you for that.
Yes, I know. Well, yeah. But I appreciate that, and my hair.
Yeah, keep it going. I think
it's been a journey, that's for sure. So, but yeah, I very much enjoy it. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Well, it looks good. Seconded. So, dude, man, news of the day. We're recording this here on Thursday afternoon, and I mean, Forbidden Door, New Japan AEW Super Show sold out. Look, for some reason, and again, I was on the periphery of this because I was on vacation on the beach. But last week, there seemed to be some sort of discourse as to, hey, this show is not going to sell out. They're going to have problems selling tickets, filling the United Center. And here we are, pre-sale. Tickets are all gone, 40 minutes. They got a little bit left per WrestleTix for tomorrow's public on sale. But this thing sold out. I'm not surprised that it did. I'm not surprised that it sold out fast. And I guess, Tyler, I'm not sure why there was this debate as to whether or not it would. It seemed like an obvious sellout to me.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that this is a non-topic, but I'd be curious to say who. I'd like to call out names here if you remember, if they're anyone prominent or if they're egg emojis on Twitter.
No, they're not egg emojis. They're not egg emojis.
If they're Impact fan 77117213, people like that, or anyone that I'll bring the spice today. Anyone that Dave Meltzer is commenting about the subject today, it's like, Dave, come on, they got 6 followers and they have no picture. Like, you need to chill, bro. Anyway,
that's not them though. It's not okay. This was some actual legitimate discourse. But see, I'm kind of with you, like non-story type stuff. But this was not a surprise, regardless of the debate that people wanted to have about it. Card, no card, roster lineup, no roster lineup, man. Like this was a foregone conclusion to me.
Yeah, and it's the first of something, which is always key with, you look at All In, you look at the first Double or Nothing, you look at really the first show in almost all of these major wrestling hub cities that, Dynamite came to, or, things like that. It's just like, if we're talking about the third Forbidden Door show, that's every June in maybe not Chicago, maybe it rotates, but then, if it's selling out in 40 minutes or it's, having a hard time selling out at that point, that would be more logical, would make more sense to be more of a topic of, hey, is this not as engaging to the, the North American audience for people to see the show like this? But yeah, I mean, this is, of anything, like if I was putting the odds on this, I would have put heavy, you probably have to, lay $1,000 to make $1 that this thing wouldn't sell out, period.
Yeah.
The time frame is a little different, but I figured 40-ish minutes. I was mad today. If we can get like personal anecdote, I had my thing set for 11 Eastern time tomorrow. I always do this, like, because AEW has events spread out, And if I ever want to go to a show, like Vegas or Chicago is pretty close to me. I was going to try and go to this show. I had my alarm set tomorrow at like 10:55 to pop on, and I see all the news today. It's like pre-sale. It's always the pre-sale. I never get in on the pre-sale. And so the fact that like someone like me who does a show on wrestling with you talks a lot about wrestling, is kind of engaged in the product, and the fact that I didn't even try and this thing sold out. That's how many this thing could have sold. It could have sold out Soldier Field. I think it would have not been in 40 minutes, but it could have. I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's coming for AEW too. Don't you think? At some point,
so.
I don't know about Soldier Field, but I think a stadium show is in the cards. If they could get the right card together, CM Punk helps. You've got some matches where you can do that. But you're right though, man. Like this is a first, and it's something that I think people and fans have been pining for. And yeah, this doesn't appeal to the casual viewer if you want to go down that route, but I just am of the thought that it doesn't have to. You can serve your audience and try to grow your audience at the same time. And shows like this, on the surface, yeah, you're targeting people who are more in tune with the wrestling product, but people like buzz, and if this show can create a lot of buzz that people may check it out, you never know. And so the fact that this sold out, I think, is, like you said, it's almost a non-story. I brought it up only because there was that debate on it, and it's like, no, this is obvious. We don't have to debate every single thing every single week.
Yes, I don't have it pulled up. I don't know if you have this info, so we'll just skip this if you don't. But Double or Nothing tickets, are those? What's the status of that? Because if that's not sold out up to this point, if those tickets they've been on sale for a minute, I would assume. Obviously, you're going to sell that before you sell this. If that is, because they're in T-Mobile Arena, right? They're not at the place attached to MGM, so that's a bigger arena as well. If that is having a hard time selling out, that's more of a story to me, because that city is more of a there's a population in that city, but it's more of a transient. People are traveling to Vegas to see that show and have a vacation paired together, whereas opposed to Chicago is the third largest city in the country, heavy wrestling fan base. A lot of people can drive in and see the show. So that show, if it's not selling out in a couple of days, if it's going to do, if you're going to have 2,000 tickets left the weekend before and the secondary market's a little soft, that being the second show in Vegas is kind of more of a story to me than this show is. It's kind of more the longevity of not the first time. What's the actual ceiling? So maybe next week we can talk about that, because I don't have those numbers in front of me. So
I don't have those numbers. I'm if I were to freestyle here, I think it is sold out. But again, I don't know that. But yeah, we should look at that for sure. If anybody out there knows, throw it in the comments. We appreciate that. Yes, speaking of like AEW, this just, I don't know. This is not on our pre-production run sheet here, but I want to get your take on it anyway, because we spent a decent amount of time on the last show talking about Adam Page, CM Punk, Double or Nothing, main event, world title. You got that like Hangman Page promo last night on the Wade Killer Pro Wrestling post show yesterday. I was saying that, like, okay, I get the idea that, hey, maybe Tony Khan is like purposely trying to throw some cold water on Adam Page so that you don't have a mixed reaction when Punk wins the title. I get that thought process, but when I was watching that promo, man, I'm like, that's the Adam Page that I want to see, that I wanted to see right out of the gate. And I kind of think that I don't think he's going to be able to dilute Punk's reaction significantly, but that Hangman Page, I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, I can get behind that guy. I can get behind that guy. That's a confident champion right there. So I think he finally found that voice, but I think it ran counter to the goal of what that promo was. What did you like it, or did it kind of make you go, WTF, what's going on?
Yeah, so I liked it a lot too. So I'm curious. I didn't listen to the show. I think that's for the best, because it didn't form my, you can formulate your opinion based on a lot of other dissenting voices on things like that. But usually, I do the reports every week, and I usually put notes after matches, but not after promos. And I didn't do anything here because I kind of wanted to let it breathe here. But moral of the story is, I liked it a lot, and I'm the same way. Like, watching it and him even interacting with the fan with the CM Punk shirt, which who knows they're there. There's someone in every section, so you could look at any section and get away. So that was perfectly booked there. But I was thinking like, man, this is the guy you give the win against Punk. You know, you give him that upset win, and you really make this guy. This just seems like a guy who, like, it's for the first time after that promo, I could see him winning, and I don't think he will. I think it's more. That's why it's like I'm a little bit two minds of it because it worked for me, but I think it was a happy accident because it seemed more like a way for him to be the heel in this situation relative to Punk, and it was kind of booked poorly, but he delivered it, and it was the Hangman that I've wanted to see for a long time. So yeah, as my dog is just going insane. So sorry about that.
He agrees with you. He
Yeah.
agrees with you, man. Yeah. Good Hangman fan there. You know, it is a happy accident, and I think we'll see you know how it goes, but I don't know if there's 3 more Dynamites left before Double or Nothing, and then a couple Rampages. But you know, if he keeps it up, I wonder if like that shift in attitude that was clearly put in place to accomplish a certain goal will actually accomplish a different one in practice, and we don't know right now. But we'll have to see. Were you surprised by any of the WWE releases from last week? I got the list here.
Okay.
Let's run through. Dexter Lumis, Malcolm Bivens, Dakota Kai, Persia Parada, Draco Anthony, Vish Kenya, Harland, Mila Milani, Paige Prinzivali, and Raylan Devine. So a good chunk of those folks I have not heard of or seen and haven't been on TV. But the other chunk of them have. So is there any big loss here? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be earth-shattering hot takeness here, but Dakota Kai makes, almost no sense. I think her entire run within NXT she's been underutilized. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not totally surprising because she was never NXT champion. She always felt like she was the next one up. And then it's just the stuff with Raquel Gonzalez where she got kind of put as the Shawn Michaels to her Diesel of that time, if you will, and then never had the moment to pay that off. Yes. Was something. And sorry about these dogs. There must be someone delivering something.
I understand, man.
But anyway, shocked about that. I mean, she definitely feels, as a follow-up question, feels AEW big time. But the other things, Bivens, obviously, they wanted to re-sign him, and he didn't want to re-sign. So that's not surprising. It's just more like, obviously, they understood his talents and wanted to retain him. But the one that I had that was surprising was Harland, this character. Yeah. What's his real name? Something Bordeaux, right? Which is always a better name than his Parker Bordeaux. Yeah. So I mean, I think we all saw the tweets and the Instagram post that this guy was like the next Brock Lesnar, and I mean he had like a thing with Gacy right on TV, and then got pulled, and then just surprising that he must have again, I'm not saying they reported, but that's got to be just like a not improvement whatsoever sort of thing, and then cutting bait at the time, but. I would say he'd be the one most surprising, but Dakota Kai is kind of more aligned to the cuts we saw last year of like people that we think are talented as a community, but are kind of underutilized and not valued by WWE. So, I mean, and it's, just more, I'm surprised that I'm not actually surprised at this point on a lot of these cuts. So, yeah.
Well, that's kind of where I wanted to take this thing, which was, I'm just not all that shocked by some of these. Like when you break it down, person to person, I think that there's stories everywhere of like, okay, yeah, Dakota Kai not used properly. That's clearly, but the fact that she hasn't been used properly all this time is an indicator that, okay, for whatever reason, they don't see that in her. And I think like that for some reason there's like this thought process of like, well, WWE is the mean old company for letting some of these people go, and it's never good. You don't wish somebody lose their job ever. But you can't keep all these people forever. Like you just can't. And it doesn't serve your company. It doesn't serve them well either. So it's like, I guess I'm just not shocked anymore. And it seems like now with NXT 2.0 being what it is, like you have to show that, hey, like that you're not going to necessarily be a top star right away, but that you're improving consistently and quickly. Because if you're not, then hey, we'll find somebody else who can. And I know it sounds harsh, man, but I don't know. I'm of the mindset where I don't necessarily think that that's a big problem. Like this is the entertainment business, and if they know that you're not what they're looking for, right or wrong, why continue to put that square peg in the round hole? And I don't want to seem harsh about it, but it's like, okay, Harlan barely had any matches on television. Like and it's like, okay, you're this top guy, or like, whatever, this big signee, and you come in and now you're on television and you're backseating to Joe Gacy. It's like, all right, something's up there. Like you that guy needed to be in the ring, needed to be like a face of that rebrand. And I think now we know why he wasn't. I just don't think he had it in him for whatever reason. And now you move on. So I think we're going to continue to see turnover like this in NXT in particular. But I as harsh as it sounds, I just don't know that that's a bad strategy given what that brand has become for the company.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable way. That's how, I don't know. It's sports, right? Sports and entertainment, right? Combined, right?
Yep.
So, you look at like, baseball, right? I mean, you got A, AA, AAA. I mean, most of those prospects now make the majors and then they make nothing and they got to go and get a real job after the fact. I mean, not that like that's like a harsh way to look at it, but that's kind of what NXT is now. It's not the black and gold, as we all know, where you sign indie talent and then you have your own kind of universe where those guys can make a bigger name for themselves and then be valuable on the independent scene if they don't make it on the main roster. So yeah, I mean, I think the cuts will be now more. I mean, there's very few people to cut in spurts on the main roster, but at this point, but yeah, NXT, this will be the place to cut it is people that aren't fitting, and it makes sense if you're not working out, you're not going to hold you for 3 years. They're going to know like, hey, this guy or gal can't cut it. So
yeah, exactly. And again, I just don't. When the cuts come in, I know that there's kind of regular like uproar and I guess some sadness, people bummed out, and I get that, but I also I get it from a business sense too. Like if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So move on. The Harlan thing was very surprising to me because I mean that dude had like the Triple H picture pose, I think, when he signed. Like, so the fact that he was kind of unceremoniously featured on television and then just bounced is surprising, but indicative of what that strategy for that brand and for the production of talent in WWE is. So it'll be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And it is what it is. And I guess they seem to be, again, to bring it back to the beginning of this, not the end of this, as we're talking about here. It seems like they're bringing in similar size groups of people in that they were even under the black and gold era, at least to me as a outside viewer. So, is this the rotation of bringing in 40 people a year and then cutting 25, 30 a year? Like that seems not great, but it's a spot, it's a publicly traded company, et cetera. And then the one thing about this too, if I can be the both sides kind of guy here, is like Stu Grayson's contract did not get extended this week, was one of the stories in AEW, and they could not agree on terms and what that means. That's basically the same thing to me, is like Stu Grayson just didn't get re-signed, and instead of being cut, like I'm not sure those NXT contracts are much different than hey, you have a 30-day notice. I'm sure Stu's contract's up at the end of May or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
it's similar at this point. So everyone's cutting people, and people that aren't contributing are not being retained to get paid to not contribute for those companies. And I'm not saying anyone is lazy or anything like that. They're just like, as a business person, you can't be, you just gotta be mindful of that stuff. So it's a more realistic, non rose colored way to look at it, unfortunately, but it's a tough business. I think, the people that are going to be fine are the Dakota Kais, the Bivens, people like that. But the people that we don't know, Harlan, like, what's that guy going to do? He's got to go get a job, right? I mean, that's like the person. I don't know. He might be a total POS. I don't know him, but or he might be a great guy. I don't know, but it's like those people. That's like, man, that's like who I feel bad for. Is like people that were in there, had a shot, and now can't go to the indie scene and be somebody.
Right.
Dexter Loomis is in an indie date already, so I think he'll be okay and do whatever. He's like it's just those people on the bottom. They're just like, all right, well, hey, you had your chance. Good luck. It's just like, feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, that is the tough part, man. I mean, that's not easy. I think Harlan may be able to make some money on the indie scene, just because I think he still he has name value, but in 5 years there'll be a podcast about his release, because it's just so bizarre given the fanfare that he had when he came in and the lack of an impact that he made, for whatever reason. I just So speaking of NXT, ratings wise, they're one of the only shows this week so far. We don't have the AEW rating yet. It should come in here potentially as we are on the air, but up in viewership over prior week. Can't say the same thing for Monday Night Raw. That show got torched, 1.4-ish million average viewers across the 3 hours. So limping out of WrestleMania, I'd say, Tyler, but there's extenuating circumstances that you can't ignore either.
Yeah, I mean, definitely NBA and NHL playoffs have been dominating, at least this week. I mean, NHL started properly, and NBA has been going on, and I think is, at least anecdotally for me, I am near states where you can sports bet, and I happen to travel for work. So this year's NHL and NBA playoffs have been a little bit more exciting for me personally. I think, across the country, I think Illinois has sports gambling, right?
We do.
So there you go. So I think those have chipped away a little bit. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Again, not a big ratings guy per se, but there's that natural downfall of the interest level going down after WrestleMania, and we saw that. And now this is almost every night there are meaningful sports events that half the country can put money on legally, and
baseball too.
And baseball is back. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't help overall, but again, the key North Star that I always talk about here is the top, where it is in the demo. Like NXT didn't drop in the rating, but it's probably still 39th in the key demo, right? That's
actually, it's interestingly enough. So the viewership went up, the demo rating went down.
Yeah, so that tells that's people that I mean, again, like our age, me and you are like not they're watching the playoffs, they're watching other stuff, they're outside, it's nice, whatever. And people that are whatever 55 plus, whatever the demo cutoff is, there are the people that are watching it, which is a more systemic problem within the industry, but TV in general. And so I think we'll see that. I think I'd be shocked if AEW, I don't what did it do 921 last week off the top of my head. So if it's not 890 something, I'd be shocked. But we'll see, and I'm sure everyone will freak out. But I think that it's at the beginning of it there, and there's a lot of teams involved and a lot of stuff going on there. So I know when I am very much more interested in, even last night, I never switched between commercial breaks when I'm doing my report for Dynamite, but I was switching and watching hockey, so and basketball. So if I'm doing that, I mean, I'm pretty diehard, and also. I don't know, this is probably subject for a show maybe deep in the summer, but I personally, as a fan, would love a couple weeks of maybe each company taking, not time off, but it's a 52-week grind is hard for anything. So I think wrestling suffers over the long term, just being nonstop completely. So I don't know if there's a good solution for that, but I think it's a major problem for anything to go nonstop.
You're right. I mean, that's true. I mean, it's funny because it's what makes pro wrestling as a product like enticing to networks to pay big money for it, because you have fresh, live, new content for 52 straight weeks. I mean, and that's big time value, and it does, solid ratings. Even, yes, it's going to come down during these playoff seasons, during football season, et cetera, but relatively strong ratings from a demo perspective, at least for AEW and for WWE. So you're playing with fire as far as like, well, you don't want to take away like something that creates so much value for your product. At the same time, you do have a fan base 52 weeks of the year that is just naturally going to fade in and out depending on what you have going on, and based on life and the last couple of years, like COVID patterns and whatever else is happening. I think a grace period or some time off, even like right now, would make sense. Like coming out of WrestleMania, take a month off, get through like some of these playoffs, and then kick back up again for the run to SummerSlam. I think from a viewer perspective, that makes a ton of sense, but I think you'd have a hard time making your case in a boardroom, Mr. Tyler Sage.
Yes, I agree, and I think that's why it'll never happen. It's more of a fun thought exercise, but
yeah.
I mean, I would say if you did that, you would definitely peak pretty hard at the very beginning of whatever your season is, and then the end, having a playoffs type environment, I think would bolster. I guess if you do a 52-week average, it probably would be the same. To argue against myself, total viewership. But the highs would be higher, and you could probably get more ad value for it. But yeah, never going to happen. Just kind of a fun exercise. Yeah. Maybe Freddie Prinze Jr.'s wrestling company will do that instead. So.
Oh my gosh, man! Yeah, that. So we reported on that on the Torch yesterday.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there needs to be another wrestling promotion to watch. Some of the ideas there were okay, but. This doesn't have the same buzz as AEW did when that was kind of teased, does it?
I would say so. Sorry to tangent there, but I do like his podcast too. I think it's good, and think he's got a good person in the space. But yeah, I think whenever you're starting by saying like, I don't need to make money for 3 years, like, okay, I'd say just like invest in the S&P, my dude. Like, because that is you're gonna I think you're not gonna love that in 3 years when you're day 1,056 or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, this I lost like 100, whatever, thousands and thousands, hundreds.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe. Yeah. So
it doesn't matter the number. I don't think I don't own my own business. My guess is, though, or at least if I did own a business or were starting a business, I don't know that I'd be saying to myself, well, I don't have to make money for like 3 years. No big deal. Like I just don't know that I'd be starting on that foot. So whatever that is, telling or not, I don't think I'd be starting on that.
Yeah, you probably want to plan for that, but you probably don't want to be like, shoot. You don't want that to be like your stretch goal that you can lose money for 3 years. You got
to be ready for it. Yes, good point.
Yeah, but that is the wrestling biz, right? I mean, I'd love to talk to Court Bauer and Brett Lauderdale, people run MLW, GCW, and like I'd love to just like off the record kind of peek under the hood, because that's got to be a tough business to run, I would say.
Oh man, it's got to be, and not to mention the fact that it's hard as it is just to run a business, but then pro wrestling has some interesting personalities in the business that you're trying to wrangle together. I coached 3 and 4-year-old T-ball with my daughter, and I don't know. My guess is that it's similar in trying to wrangle them all together.
Yeah, just less things in the locker room happening with 3 and 4.
Yes,
probably.
Yes,
so,
yes,
but yes. Besides that, the demeanor is probably similar, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, dude, there's a pay-per-view this weekend.
Yeah, crap. Mother's Day. What a gift for my mother.
Yes, right.
Sit her down in front of WWE Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash. Yes.
My wife is thrilled.
Yes.
Thrilled. Yeah, dude, WrestleMania Backlash, Sunday night on Peacock. Not like the fact that, we could do this show 30 minutes in now, and we could probably add, I don't know, 3-4 more topics here before getting to this, and it would seem totally normal, and wouldn't feel out of place. To me, that speaks to like the build to this show, and the fact that you have some matches here that once you get to the show on Sunday night could absolutely deliver, and be good matches, and no question. But I think it's a weak card. I think it's a weak build. I think WWE voluntarily like cooled off the hottest match that it had going in the unification match for the tag team titles. They made it a 6-man tag now with Reigns and Drew McIntyre. So I think it was way more intriguing before that. But let's go down the card here, man, and just kind of talk picks to click and who we think is going to win what and how we think things are going to go. Before, though, what's your high level just on this thing? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, kind of to echo what you said, this is kind of the solidification, the destiny being fulfilled for the Peacock deal within WWE. Is for these. I think they have to do at least 12 shows a year, right?
Correct.
And this feels very much like, instead of a premium live event, this feels like a contractually obligated live event on Peacock. And that's like
awesome. Wait, hold on. Contractually obligated live event. So COLLE. Cole. Okay.
Cole. Yeah.
Cole.
There you go.
It's a Cole.
No, we can't have it. You already have Michael Cole, so you got to rename it. It's because
you got to call it something else. Yeah.
Just call it Budge or whatever his name was going to be, Adam Cole.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what this is to me. Is like, hey, you got like your stadium shows, you got your Money in the Banks, your SummerSlams, your maybe Survivor Series, your Royal Rumbles, your WrestleManias. Those matter. Everything else doesn't really matter. You might have 1 or 2 pay-per-views that pop every year that have 1 or 2 good stories that kind of overachieve. But this to me feels like the complacency of, that people worried about even. Well, I mean, when did the Fox deal hit? 3 years ago at this point? Yeah. I mean, you had the Saudi money, you had the Fox deal, you had the re-up on the NBC Universal deal, where the narrative is like, hey, they got money guaranteed, and it doesn't really matter what they put out there. And it's kind of that's where we are. I mean, not to say that everything's bad. Like you said, I think, some matches could be good, but that's what this feels like to me. It feels like, again, not to be like the AEW guy, but this feels like this is what would be set up for like an episode of Dynamite, like maybe a themed episode, but
right.
You're not feeling too much content and everything gets diluted. And I'm sure, it'll probably be a thumbs up show because there's no expectations for it, but we can go through it here. But yeah, and the thing with the main event, I mean, it's been said everywhere, and it's kind of unbelievable that
it's unbelievable.
They did that. I was excited for that match. I thought it was interesting and cool what they were doing, and I was hoping the US and the IC title would happen next and kind of get things along and have titles feel important. That's one way they could feel different opposed to all these other companies. I mean, AEW's got 37. Everyone's got. I got a title. I'm the ROH
ROH something champion.
Yeah, I mean, the guy talking on the mic champion. Like, so I mean, they could have like 4 titles and be different in that way because I mean, Impact is kind of the same way, not having infinite titles, but New Japan's got way too many. AEW's got way too many. Just like totally throwing that all out the window too is surprising. But let's go down the card and be a little bit more positive. So maybe
I don't know if this card deserves it though. So I'm thinking, just quick hits on this: Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I Quit match. This is a peak example of what I'm talking about with this card. This match feels ice freaking cold. Like, it just does. I don't think there's any buzz for Ronda winning the title. I don't think people care whether or not Charlotte keeps it. They're going to have an I Quit match. It's probably going to be a good match, but to what end? Like, I'm taking Ronda Rousey. I think she walks out with the title, but I don't. I think it's insignificant come Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, and then we'll talk about the main event too. Feels like matches that get you to an actual pay-per-view, an actual main show. That's why it feels like this could be on SmackDown and it would feel more appropriate and it would be less negative on it because it's like setting up for Money in the Bank, right? For whoever, if it's Charlotte again, whatever, but whoever wins the Money in the Bank for the women is set up against Ronda at SummerSlam or whatever. You're setting up stories long term, which is great. WWE is good at that stuff, but yeah, this feels absolutely like they were like, hey, Ronda's going to win in the end, so we'll have her lose at WrestleMania, which will kill all the hype, and then we'll have this match, and then we'll actually get to it. That's like the problem of having every feud go 3 matches no matter what. But
that's it, man.
So, yeah, I think Ronda's going to win too. So,
okay,
even though she's a pro at quitting pro wrestling, that was my little dig there. Just kidding. So,
I love. Wow. Just
I'm sure that's shots. Been a Charlotte line that I saw and it stole it in my head. So.
Taking shots at Ronda. Watch your back.
Yeah, she'll kill me, so I'm prepared to die. So
she might. Roman Reigns and the Usos against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Man, I don't even want to break this thing down because it's so maddening. You took the first hot tag team angle that you had in years and made it a 6-man, took away the intrigue. I mean, Reigns' involvement signals an outcome. I think he's got to win this match. And that's the way I see it going. I think it's really lukewarm. There you have it.
Yeah. I mean, the only alternative there is that you could have one of the Usos take a pin from Drew. And then, Drew has beaten one of the Usos and in line to Money in the Bank against Roman, which obviously is where this is going, at least to me.
Right.
And then you have some storylines there with Reigns and, being mean to the Usos as we kind of fluctuate back and forth on for the last 2 years. That's a possibility. But yeah, I think it's cheating to win. And, I guess Riddle takes the pin. That's like the hard on that team. It's kind of hard to pick someone to take the pin is the only problem there. But I mean, the one thing I think about too, and this is, I guess if we're just going to pile on here or me, I think of, FTR, their contract's coming up in a year and there's like a lot of scuttlebutt, 2 weeks ago about them not wanting to openly negotiate, but they're definitely not like, hey, we're saying in AEW for sure. Don't worry about it. And I'm just thinking like, man, if FTR were in WWE right now, would they be like with Drew McIntyre tagging in this match and like, downgrade their match and just be like pawns in this stupid thing that was a good match and he made it worse. Like, it's like, this is like, if I'm Dax or Cash and, the money's not millions of dollars difference, like, don't do it, man. Don't do it for your soul.
Don't do it. Yeah. I mean, it's $1 million difference.
Yeah. You got to do it. Like, sell your soul for that, of course, but
do it. Yeah. Right. But I mean, yeah, man, this is real symptomatic of what Vince McMahon thinks of tag team wrestling. And, it's unfortunate because I think they had a hot match. They don't anymore. So shame on you, Vince.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes against Seth Rollins, probably the best built match on the show. A low bar to clear, I realized, but I've liked what they've done with this. I've liked what they've done with Cody. I think he's is acting like a top star on Raw, being positioned as a top star on Raw. I think the reactions are there, in a WWE way. If you stipulate that nobody gets huge pops in WWE outside of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, Cody's right there with the best of them. So, I think Cody wins this. I think you want to keep him hot, and you move on from there.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm a little concerned again with the 3-match format. You kind of have to have some sort of Seth Rollins underhandedness to get to a third match here, or do you put Cody in the Money in the Bank match and have him be the favorite there, which I think makes a lot more sense and makes that match feel more impactful than it has in the last 2 or 3 years by the caliber of people that are in it. So yeah, I think if he moves on from Rollins here, they have the best match on the night, and they go their separate ways and maybe meet down the line. That's the healthiest and best option here. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think that's what will happen, but we'll see. And I just wonder, where's this good? My question for this is, for you is do you think this is the first match, or do you think Ronda Charlotte gets the first match to kind of bookend the show?
Ooh, good question. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna say that Rousey and Charlotte is the main event. I think they'll, and
Oh,
mainly I say that because Ronda is gonna win the title. That's so I'm gonna go out on a limb perhaps, and I'm gonna say that that's the main event.
wow.
Um,
So the Roman thing is like the co-main, or it opens for you if you got the dry erase board.
yeah, it opens for me. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. Opens for me, and then you put you anchor kind of in the middle of the show with there's always that middle of the show top level ish match.
Hmm.
I think you could do it with Edge and AJ Styles too, which we'll get to in a minute. But um, yeah, we'll see. Next week you'll be able to make me eat some crow if I'm wrong about that. But
Yeah, I mean,
that's my pick.
there's a WWE format and then a how I would format. I think that's a
Yes.
Tony Khan thing too, because Tony Khan's a little erratic with his booking. I mean,
Oh man.
with like it's like really that's like second, all right, whatever. But not bad. It's just like you can never guess what that guy is how he's gonna lay a
No,
show out, a major show. But
you cannot. So who you pick? You're definitively taking Cody.
yeah. I mean, it makes no sense if Cody loses here, even underhandedly, it's bad. But if
Yeah.
he loses like definitively, like you are you got Cody that we all thought was going to happen. You just got it, you know, mid card Cody, 2 months earlier than I thought it was going to happen. So
Yeah, yeah. Cody meets WWE lane of traffic.
yeah,
That's what that is.
yeah.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this next one, but I am Madcap Moss, the hot baby face of SmackDown, against Happy Corbin. Do you care? Do you not care? Who wins? You take it first.
Yeah, I mean, do I care? No, but I think if you look back, I'm trying to think of a historical comp for Baron Corbin. He's been around for, I mean, legitimately been like a main roster guy who almost always has a pay per view match for
Yeah.
6 years. Is it longer? Is it shorter?
2016, he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I know that because I was in the building at WrestleMania 32.
Okay.
So that's his debut. So yeah, 6 years.
So I mean, like, I don't think he has a historical comp. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. I was like a guy who is basically reviled by almost like kayfably, and then also like by most of the people that follow it pretty hardcore. Not as a
Yeah.
person, I'm sure he's a great guy, but just like his character, it'd be like all the iterations of his character and all that stuff. It's so interesting to me, and I don't know what he did. Like he should write a book on how to get in Vince McMahon's good graces because he's got like some magic code there. But anyway, I digress. Don't really care. I think Madcap's going to win, and then he'll be a baby face that will not catch on and be wrestling Cody in 6 months. But
Hmm.
where Corbin goes from here, I'm interested to see. Obviously, he can't be very happy if he loses his compatriot. So there should be at least some good SmackDown. He's been sad. Now he's happy. What's the in between? Is he indifferent, Corbin? I'm not saying that won't happen. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I guess
Indifferent Corbin.
excited is a to overestimate, but yeah, I'm curious. I should say.
Curious. Yeah. Hey, you're right on Corbin. Like as far as that goes. I mean, he's on the shows all the time. So for better or worse, absolutely. But yeah, he's there. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. I'm not like he seems like he's just an act that's around, and no matter what he does, yes, he's on the shows, but he's not going up, he's not going down. He's staying just right there, right at the old Happy Corbin level. Um, I think Madcap's going to win this too, just because, boy, it'd be really. Although Corbin has won a lot of matches where I'm like, there's no way he wins this one.
Yeah.
I still think Madcap is going to get the victory. It seems like they're behind him in a, low card type way on SmackDown. So yeah, I'm going with Madcap as well. Two more, if we believe it or not. Bobby Lashley versus Omos with MVP. I I like Lashley here. I think you got to put a bow on this feud. You did the angle at WrestleMania or the night after WrestleMania or what have you, but I don't.
I don't think Omos is in the grand Vince McMahon plans. If he wins this match, I think you'll be able to deduce that he is in the plans. I don't think he will, though. This is the Lashley show. I think he gets a big spot where he does something cool with Omos, and they take it home. 1, 2, 3. Lashley wins. They move on Monday night.
Yes, I agree with you. I'd say from an in-ring standpoint, obviously my least anticipated match.
Yes.
I think we got to kind of the highest end of this already. It's going to kind of be a remix of what we already saw with Lashley and Omos. I mean, some of the stuff they've had. Because was it pre? My brain is mush. Was it pre WrestleMania or was it the Monday after WrestleMania where he like knocked him off his feet for the first time? When did that happen?
The go home, the WrestleMania
Oh,
go
you
home.
go
Yeah.
home. Okay, yeah. So like
Yeah.
that, I think was like the peak of this, honestly, and then we're just like extending it longer. So yeah, I think make Lashley look strong, kind of, as that baby face, I guess, ahead of Cody. But I think that's a match you can build to, and kind of have tweener Bobby Lashley and Cody Rhodes is a big match you could build
Mhm.
to at a stadium show if you're going to keep it Raw exclusive. So yeah, I mean it makes sense, and on paper. I like where it's going for Lashley to beat a bigger guy than him. So yeah, it all works. It's like Wardlow and Morrissey last night. It kind of feels
Yeah.
like that to me. So
Good. Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah, I think this fits on the show. It's not like a bad match to have on the card. It's just, you know, kind of like to me, it's like the definitive outcome match.
mhm.
All right, last but not least, Edge versus AJ Styles. The Judgment Day Edge versus AJ Styles. Boy, I, they their first match at WrestleMania was very disappointing in my eyes, and so I just don't I don't know what to think about this match really. Like it's on paper, it should be really good. You add into the fact that those two are good enough to know that WrestleMania was not their best outing. And so I kind of look at this match on this show and go, okay, this could be a sneaky good match potentially when you've got talent that's revved up, a card that doesn't have a lot on it. This thing could stand out. I just I just don't care as much as I should. And I think it's rooted in the story, but also rooted in the fact that man, you saw this once already. It was not, not it didn't make you want to see another one. So I'll I think I'll take AJ Styles. My guess is they go to a third match. That's why I'm taking Styles. No other reason other than that. How about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I was really, really disappointed by their match at WrestleMania. I think it was also just because it was, I mean, it's kind of a trend line for Edge now since the greatest match of all time. I think was that the one where
Yes.
it was just like they're very long. He kind of got the Triple H honorary
Yeah.
mantle of being like the older pro who gets to work the 25-minute match that is just kind of overstates its welcome. That's what I thought. I mean, I don't know the time. It was probably 18 minutes. The WrestleMania match just felt like it was
Yeah.
25 minutes. But with Cody and Seth on this show as well, I think only one of those can go super long. If both go
Mhm.
long to fill time, it's going to be a bad time. But if this is 14 minutes or so, I think they can get a lot out of it. And yeah, I guess continue the story because I don't know what each of them do beyond this, unless they're both, going to go for Money in the Bank. Not everyone can do that. But yeah, I'll go with that too. I just don't have probably of all the matches, it's the one I have the least opinion on, which is a problem because, and the
Yes.
problem with the format too, right? I mean, this is what
Right.
3 straight up rematches from WrestleMania on this card, or no,
Yep.
4?
So we'll see. We got Charlotte and Rousey, Rollins and Rhodes, Lashley and Omos, and that's 4.
Yeah, out of 6 matches,
Uh,
it's 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like a bad way to format anything is to have just
Yeah.
4 straight up rematches from WrestleMania that
Yeah. Yep.
to build your show, just like all around is like you're like it's like a good test of like how not to build long term, how not to build like a month of wrestling content because it's like nobody cares. Even I mean, I don't know. Pat McAfee with some truth serum probably doesn't even care that much about this show. So
Absolutely not. And you could look. I think you could build this show in an effective way. Excuse me. But um, they just didn't. And I think it's going to be headlined by just that cold Charlotte Rousey thing. And I think that, to me, that just, I don't know, that hurts. That just hurts the whole aura of the show. We'll see. We can do a quick review next week here on Fireside. But dude, I think let's ride off into the sunset, man.
Sounds good.
Have a good week if you're going to be hitting the road, man. Hopefully get some time, to just chill at the house.
Yeah, hopefully. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say some saying, but it left my brain, so never mind. So, but yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll travel safely.
Awesome. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for listening. This is Zach and Tyler on the Fireside Chat. Leave your comments below, like, subscribe, get the little reminder bell going. We've got a new show from Robert Vallejos up on the PWTorch YouTube channel, so you can make sure you check that out. That'll be he'll have another one coming up this weekend, most likely. Fun topic. You guys are going to love it. So subscribe. Give us a chance here. We're going to be bringing you content regularly throughout the week, as we've done for gosh, a little over a month now, man. But more to come. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.